They say space has a smell, metallic, electric, like copper pennies left in the rain. But out here, 13 billion light-years from home, floating at the edge of what we called the fossil galaxy, I could swear I smelled something else entirely. Death. Ancient and patient, my name is Commander Elena Vasquez, and I'm speaking to you from the observation deck of the Kronos Drift, humanity's first deep-time exploration vessel. We've traveled farther than any human has ever gone, following gravitational echoes and dark matter trails to reach this place. The scientists back on Earth gave it that clinical designation, but we simply call it what it is, a graveyard of stars. Through the reinforced viewing ports, the fossil galaxy stretches before us like a vast necropolis, where other galaxies blaze with the fire of young stars. This one holds only the cold remnants of stellar death. White dwarfs dim as dying embers, neutron stars spinning their last rotations, and threading through it all, streams of cosmic debris, the scattered bones of worlds that died when our own solar system was nothing but primordial dust. The silence here isn't just an absence of sound, it's deeper than that. It's the silence of time itself, stretched thin across eons. My instruments register almost no electromagnetic activity, no radio bursts, no gamma rays, no signs that anything in this ancient realm has moved or changed or lived for billions of years. Almost no signs that that's why we're here. 3 weeks ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected something impossible, a faint but distinct signal originating from the galaxy's core, not the random noise of cosmic background radiation, but something with pattern, with intent, a whisper from the universe's oldest grave. Dr. Marcus Chen, our xenoarchaeologist, stands beside me at the viewport, his reflection ghost-like in the transparent aluminum. "Look at those debris fields," he says, voice barely above a whisper. "Each piece could be older than our entire galaxy. We're looking at the first chapter of cosmic history, but I'm not looking at the debris. I'm watching the shadows between them. In the spaces where starlight should reveal empty void, there are absences, patches of darkness that seem too perfect, too deliberate. Like something vast is hiding in the spaces between the dead stars." Captain Torres's voice crackles through the comm system, breaking the moment. "All hands, prepare for initial survey sweep. We're moving deeper into the outer spiral arm. Maintain yellow alert status." As the Kronos Drift begins its slow approach, I feel that familiar weight in my chest, the one every explorer knows, the weight of being the first human eyes to see something. But this feels different. Heavier, like we're not discovering something new, but disturbing something that was meant to stay buried. The galaxy rotates slowly before us, a cosmic fossil preserved in the amber of space-time. Dead solar systems drift in perfect orbital decay, shattered planets tumble in slow-motion ballets around stellar corpses. And somewhere in that vast cemetery of worlds, something sent us a signal. Something that should not exist. Dr. Sarah Kim, our communications specialist, appears at my shoulder. Her dark eyes reflect the pale light of the galaxy's dying stars. "Elena, we're picking up that signal again. Stronger now. It's definitely artificial." I nod, though my stomach tightens with an emotion I can't quite name. Not excitement, not fear, something older than both. "What kind of artificial?" I ask. She pauses, studying her scanner readings. "The pattern is complex, mathematical, but there's something else underneath it, like it's not just transmitting information, it's transmitting memory." The word hangs in the recycled air of the observation deck. Memory, as if the signal isn't just a message, but an echo of something that once thought, once felt, once lived in this cosmic mausoleum. I press my palm against the cool metal of the viewport frame and stare into the heart of the fossil galaxy. Somewhere in that labyrinth of dead stars and forgotten worlds, something ancient is calling to us. Something that remembers when this galaxy burned bright with life. The question isn't whether we'll answer that call. We've come too far to turn back now. The question is whether whatever sent that signal wants to be found, or whether it's warning us to stay away. As the Kronos drift moves deeper into the galaxy's embrace, I catch one last glimpse of the void behind us, the dark space between galaxies that represents the closest thing to home we'll know for months to come. When I turn back to face the fossil galaxy, I swear I see something flicker in its depths. A pulse of light, brief, deliberate, like the blink of an enormous eye finally opening after eons of sleep. 3 days into the fossil galaxy, and I'm beginning to understand what haunted spaces truly look like. We've catalogued 17 dead solar systems, each one a perfect snapshot of stellar death frozen in time. But it's what we found in the 18th system that has everyone on edge. The Kronos drift hovers now in what was once the habitable zone of a red giant that collapsed into a white dwarf millennia ago. The star's death should have scattered any planetary bodies into the void, but instead, we found them here, perfectly preserved in orbital shells around the stellar remnant, as if something or someone carefully arranged them after the star's collapse. It's not natural, Dr. Chen mutters for the 20th time today, studying the holographic display in our main conference room. Planetary bodies don't maintain stable orbits after their parent star goes through collapse. The gravitational dynamics are all wrong. Captain Torres, a weathered man whose grey beard holds the stories of a dozen deep space missions, drums his fingers on the metal table. Could be some kind of gravitational anomaly, dark matter concentration. There are precedents. No, Dr. Kim interrupts, her voice tight with controlled anxiety. I've been analysing the signal patterns. They're not random. They're responsive. The room falls silent except for the constant hum of the ship's life support systems. Outside the reinforced windows, the arranged planets drift in their impossible orbits like monuments in a cosmic cemetery. Responsive how, I ask, though part of me dreads the answer. Kim manipulates her tablet, projecting a complex waveform into the holographic display. Watch this. Every time we change our position or scan a new sector, the signal shifts. It's not just transmitting, it's reacting to our presence. Chief Engineer Yuki Tanaka, a woman whose technical brilliance is matched only by her brutal honesty, leans forward. Are you telling us something in this dead galaxy is watching us? The question hangs in the recycled air like a curse. I study the faces of my crew, brilliant scientists and seasoned explorers, all of them, but I see something I've never seen in their eyes before. The particular kind of fear that comes from realizing you're not alone when you thought you were. There's more, Kim continues, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. The signal isn't coming from any single location. It's distributed, like it's emanating from the quantum structure of space itself in this region. Dr. Chen pulls up spectroscopic data from our deep field scanners. That would be impossible unless... He stops mid-sentence, his face pale in the blue glow of the hologram. Unless what, Marcus? Torres demands. Unless someone or something altered the fundamental properties of space-time itself, not just in one location, but across entire sectors of the galaxy. I feel a chill that has nothing to do with the ship's climate control. We're explorers, trained to seek out the unknown, but this feels different. We're not discovering something, we're being discovered. Show me the orbital analysis again, I say. The hologram shifts to display the 18 dead systems we've catalogued. Each one shows the same impossible pattern, planets and debris arranged in perfect geometric formations around dead or dying stars. Not the random scatter of natural stellar death, but deliberate, conscious arrangement. It's like a message, I realize aloud. Each system is positioned to form part of a larger pattern. Tanaka nods grimly, a message written in the corpses of worlds. We spend the next 6 hours mapping the positions of every dead system in our survey area. What emerges makes my hands shake as I input the coordinates. The dead systems form a 3-dimensional spiral, visible only from our exact position in space. And at the center of that spiral, roughly 30 light-years deeper into the galaxy's core, lies something that shouldn't exist. a structure, not a natural formation like an asteroid field or nebula, an artificial construct massive enough to register on our long-range scanners even at this distance. Something built. How big are we talking? Torres asks. Dr. Chen checks his calculations twice before answering. Approximately the size of Jupiter, and it's hollow. The silence that follows is broken only by the soft beeping of our monitoring systems. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I remember childhood stories about explorers who ventured too far into unknown territories and found things that should have remained lost. The signal is strongest from that direction, Kim adds quietly. Of course it is. Whatever sent humanity that first whisper from the fossil galaxy, it's waiting for us inside that structure. A hollow world the size of Jupiter, positioned at the center of a message written in dead solar systems. I look around the conference table at faces illuminated by the pale glow of instrument panels. These are good people, brave people. They followed me 13 billion light years from home to satisfy humanity's hunger for knowledge. Now I have to ask them to go deeper into what feels increasingly like a trap. We need to vote, I say finally, continue toward the structure, or return to Earth with what we've learned. The vote is unanimous. We continue deeper, but as the Kronos drift alters course toward the spiral's center, I catch something in my peripheral vision, a shadow moving against the star field, just for an instant. When I turn to look directly, there's nothing there but empty space and the pale light of dying stars. Still, I can't shake the feeling that something just shifted in the darkness between worlds. Something large, something patient, something that has been waiting for us to make exactly this choice. The structure hangs in space like a wound in reality itself. We've been approaching it for 18 hours now, and my instrument still can't fully comprehend what we're seeing. Imagine Jupiter, but hollow, its surface composed of materials that shouldn't exist, metals that bend light in impossible ways, crystals that pulse with their own internal luminescence. The entire construct rotates slowly, majestically, around an axis that seems to exist in more than 3 dimensions. I'm reading structural elements that predate the formation of our galaxy, Dr. Chen reports, his voice filled with the kind of awe usually reserved for religious experiences. Elena, this thing is older than the Milky Way itself. But it's not the age that terrifies me, it's the fact that it's clearly inhabited, not by anything we'd recognize as life, but by something. Energy patterns move through the structure's translucent walls like thoughts made visible. Corridors and chambers shift and reconfigure themselves as we watch, as if the entire construct is alive and responding to our presence. Distance to outer shell? I ask Navigation Officer Peters. 12,000 kilometers and closing. At current velocity, we'll reach scanning range in 3 hours. 3 hours to decide whether humanity takes its next evolutionary step or stumbles into its final grave. The communications array crackles with Dr. Kim's voice from the sensor bay. Elena, you need to see this. The signal we've been tracking, it's not random anymore. It's structured like language. I make my way through the ship's corridors, past crew members who work with the quiet intensity of people, trying not to think too hard about where they are. In the sensor bay, Kim has surrounded herself with holographic displays showing wave patterns that hurt to look at directly. It started changing about an hour ago, she explains. The mathematical sequences are giving way to something else. Patterns within patterns, like nested languages, each one more complex than the last. I study the displays, trying to make sense of the undulating forms. There's something almost familiar about them, like half-remembered melodies from childhood, but underneath that familiarity lurks something alien. Geometries that human minds weren't designed to process. Can you translate any of it? That's just it. I don't think translation is the right word. It's not trying to communicate information. It's trying to communicate experience, memory, like it's downloading the thoughts of an entire civilization directly into our instruments. The implications hit me like a physical blow. We're not just receiving a message, we're receiving the preserved consciousness of whoever built that structure. Kim shut down the communications array now. But Elena, this is the discovery of now. She complies, but the silence that follows feels worse than the alien signals. In cutting off the transmission, I feel like we've severed a connection with something vast and ancient, something that has been alone for eons and finally found someone to speak with. The intercom crackles. All hands to stations. We're moving to active scanning range. I return to the bridge to find the main viewer filled with the structure's surface. Up close, it's even more impossible. The hull appears to be constructed from crystallized space-time itself, materials that exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Cities, if that's what they are, spiral across its surface in non-Euclidean patterns that make my eyes water to follow. Life signs, I ask. Negative for anything we'd recognize as biological, Tanaka reports. But I'm reading massive energy signatures throughout the structure. Organized energy, purposeful. Meaning whatever built this place found a way to preserve consciousness without biological form. We're looking at minds, Elena. Ancient alien minds stored in crystallized thought. The bridge falls silent except for the hum of instruments and the soft whisper of recycled air. Through the main viewer, the structure continues its slow rotation, revealing new impossibilities with each passing moment. Bridges that span empty space without visible support. Towers that seem to extend into dimensions we can't see. Gardens of light, where something like plants grow in patterns that suggest intelligence. "Captain," Peters calls from the navigation station. "Something's happening to the structure. It's opening." I watch in fascination and growing horror as sections of the hull iris open like enormous eyes. Behind each opening lies not empty space, but corridors filled with soft phosphorescent light, pathways leading into the structure's heart. "It's inviting us in," Dr. Chen whispers. "Or it's preparing to consume us," Tanaka counters. Both possibilities feel equally likely. This structure, this preserved civilization, has waited eons for contact with another intelligence. Now we're here, and it's opening itself to us, like a flower blooming after endless winter. The question is whether we're potential friends or simply fresh nutrients for something that should have died with its galaxy billions of years ago. "All hands, this is the captain." Torres's voice echoes through the ship. "Prepare for close approach. Maintain maximum alert status." As the Kronos drift moves closer to the opening hull sections, I notice something that makes my blood run cold. The openings aren't random, they're positioned to match our ship's configuration exactly. Docking bays sized and shaped for human vessels, as if they've been waiting for us specifically, as if they knew we were coming. The soft light emanating from the structure's interior pulses in patterns that remind me of heartbeats, or perhaps the rhythm of sleeping breath. Whatever inhabits this place, it's dreaming. And now, 13 billion light years from home, we're about to wake it up. I place my hand on the command console and make the choice that will either elevate humanity to cosmic significance or doom us to become another exhibit in this galaxy-sized museum of the dead. Take us in. Inside the structure, physics becomes poetry. We've docked with what appeared to be a standard airlock, but stepping through the threshold feels like walking into a living thought. The corridors stretch in directions that shouldn't exist, walls that curve through dimensions my eyes can't quite follow. The lighting comes from the structure itself, not from any visible source, but from the very material of the walls, which pulse with soft bioluminescence like the inside of a deep-sea creature. I'm leading the away team, myself, Dr. Chen, Kim, and Tanaka, through passages that seem to anticipate our movement. The floor beneath our feet adjusts its texture with each step, providing perfect traction, despite being composed of something that looks like crystallized starlight. "Atmospheric composition?" I ask through the comlink to the ship. "Breathable," comes Peters' voice from the Kronos drift. "Oxygen-nitrogen mix, though there are trace elements I can't identify. Recommend keeping environmental suits active." but I can smell it even through my suit's filtration system. That same metallic scent from space, but warmer somehow, more alive, like copper pennies soaked in ancient rain, mixed with something floral that has no earthly equivalent. The walls, Dr. Chen whispers, running his gloved hand along the corridor's surface. They're not solid. They're responsive. He's right. Where his hand touches the wall, patterns of light ripple outward like waves in a pond. But these aren't just random energy discharges. There's intention behind them, communication. It's trying to talk to us, Kim realizes, pulling out her portable scanner. The light patterns, they're linguistic structures, complex ones. We continue deeper into the structure, following corridors that branch and merge in patterns that suggest organic growth rather than engineering. Every surface we pass responds to our presence with those rippling light displays, as if the entire construct is slowly waking from eons of sleep. Then we reach the first chamber. It opens before us like a cathedral made of compressed time, its ceiling lost in shadows that seem to extend into infinity. But it's not the architecture that stops us cold, it's the inhabitants. They hang suspended in pillars of crystallized energy, dozens of them, each one different but unified by an alien beauty that makes my chest ache with recognition. Not human, but close enough that I can read emotion in their preserved features. Faces that speak of intelligence, of curiosity, of something heartbreakingly familiar. My God, Chen breathes, they're beautiful. They are. Each figure is roughly humanoid, but elongated, their limbs graceful as water, their faces bearing expressions of serene contemplation. But it's their eyes that capture me, large, luminous, filled with depths that suggest they can still see, still think, even in their crystalline prisons. Are they alive? Tanaka asks. Before anyone can answer, the nearest pillar begins to resonate, its crystalline structure humming with harmonics that I feel in my bones. The figure inside, tall, ethereal, with skin that seems to contain galaxies, slowly opens its eyes and looks directly at me. The contact is immediate and overwhelming, not telepathy exactly, but something deeper, a sharing of experience that bypasses language entirely. For an instant, I am this being looking out through alien eyes at a younger universe. I see their civilization at its height, cities that spanned star systems, art forms that sculpted space-time itself, technologies that treated the fundamental forces of reality like clay to be molded. And I see their end, not death by conquest or natural disaster, but a choice, a deliberate decision to preserve themselves in crystalline form as their galaxy aged beyond the ability to sustain biological life. They became living archives, consciousnesses stored in structures that could survive the heat death of stars. The vision fades, leaving me gasping inside my environmental suit. The being's eyes remain fixed on mine, and I see something there that chills me more than the vacuum of space. Hope. Elena, Kim's voice sounds far away. The readings are off the charts. Whatever just happened, it created a massive energy spike throughout the structure. I blink, refocusing on my surroundings. The chamber is no longer still. Every pillar is beginning to resonate, their crystalline occupants stirring from eons of contemplative sleep. Dozens of ancient eyes are opening, all turning toward us with expressions of wonder and desperate hunger. They've been alone, I realize aloud. For billions of years, they've been alone with their memories. Eleanor, we need to leave, Tanaka says, her voice tight with controlled fear. The energy readings are approaching critical levels. But I can't move. The being in the nearest pillar is trying to communicate something urgent. Images flash through my mind. Warnings, perhaps, or instructions. I see this structure as part of a vast network spanning the galaxy, each node containing preserved civilizations. I see the builders of this place working desperately to complete their work before their stars died. And I see something else, something that makes my blood freeze. This wasn't just preservation, it was imprisonment. The structure isn't a refuge, it's a prison. These beings didn't choose to crystallize themselves. They were trapped here by something else, something that feared what they might become if left to evolve naturally. The signal, I gasp. It wasn't a greeting, it was a distress call. The chamber erupts in light as dozens of preservation pillars activate simultaneously. The crystallized beings are awakening en masse, their combined consciousness creating resonances that make the entire structure shudder. Through our comlinks, I can hear alarms blaring aboard the Kronos Drift. And in my mind, I feel something vast and ancient turning its attention toward us, something that has been sleeping in the spaces between galaxies, waiting for someone to wake its prisoners. The jailer is coming. Get us out of here! My voice echoes through the crystalline chamber as the preservation pillars crack and split, releasing beings that haven't drawn breath for eons. But they're not breathing air, they're breathing starlight itself, their bodies absorbing energy directly from the structure's luminous walls. The first, being to emerge fully from its crystalline prison, approaches me with movements like liquid grace. Up close, I can see that what I mistook for skin is actually a living membrane that processes cosmic radiation. When it speaks, the words bypass my ears entirely, appearing as concepts directly in my mind. You were not supposed to come here. Elena, massive energy signatures approaching from deep space. Peters' voice crackles through the comm from our ship. Something big, something that was dormant until the structures activated. The being's large eyes, pools of liquid starlight, regard me with an expression that might be sympathy. We have been prisoners for so long, we forgot why we were imprisoned. Your arrival reminded us. Reminded it. What are you talking about? I demand, backing toward the chamber entrance as more beings emerge from their pillars. But the creature doesn't answer with words. Instead, it shares a memory, one that hits me like a physical blow and sends me to my knees. I am standing on a world of impossible beauty under twin suns, watching a civilization that has learned to sculpt reality itself. These beings, the architects they called themselves, have transcended the need for crude matter, creating art from pure energy, cities from crystallized time. They are approaching something unprecedented, the ability to create new universes. And then the sky tears open. Something vast and hungry pours through the wound in space-time. Not a creature, but a concept given form, a principle of cosmic order that cannot tolerate the existence of beings who might reshape reality itself. It calls itself the Constraint. The war that follows isn't fought with weapons, but with fundamental forces. The architects try to create, the constraint destroys. Mountains of crystallized thought shatter, oceans of liquid energy boil away. And in the end, the constraint doesn't kill the architects. It preserves them, trapping their consciousness in crystal matrices, keeping them alive but powerless. A warning to any other species that might one day reach for godhood. The memory ends, leaving me gasping on the chamber floor. Around me, dozens of architects are awakening, and with them, the structure itself is coming to life. Walls shift and flow. Gravity becomes negotiable. The very air hums with possibility. Elena, you need to get back to the ship now. Torres's voice is desperate. Long-range sensors are detecting something approaching from the galactic core. It's the size of a solar system. I struggle to my feet, aided by the architect who shared its memory. We did not mean for this to happen, it tells me. Our awakening calls to our jailer. It will come to ensure we remain contained. Then why did you send the signal? Why call us here? Because we are dying. Even in crystal, consciousness fades. We needed new minds to witness our knowledge before we fade completely. We needed heirs. The implications hit me like a hammer blow. You're not just prisoners, you're a seed bank, preserving the knowledge of cosmic engineering for whoever finds you. Yes, and now you must choose. Accept our gift of knowledge and flee, hoping the constraint does not follow you across the void, or stay and help us make our final stand. Through the chamber's transparent walls, I can see space itself beginning to warp. The stars are shifting position, bending towards something approaching from the galaxy's heart. Something so massive, it's creating gravitational lensing effects visible to the naked eye. What happens if we stay, I ask, though I think I already know. We teach you everything, how to shape reality, how to create new forms of matter and energy, how to build universes, but in learning, you become what we are, threats to cosmic order. The constraint will hunt you across the galaxy. My comm crackles with frantic voices from the ship, reports of spatial distortions. Reality tears opening in nearby space. The approaching entity isn't just large, it's rewriting the fundamental laws of physics as it moves. I look around the chamber at the awakening architects, beings of impossible beauty and terrible knowledge, preserved against their will for eons. They're offering humanity the keys to creation itself, the power to become gods. The question is whether godhood is worth becoming the galaxy's most wanted fugitives. How long do we have? I ask. Hours, perhaps less. The constraint moves slowly, but it moves inevitably. I activate my comlink. Torres, prepare for emergency departure. All crew to stations. You refuse our gift. I meet the architect's starlight eyes. I'm accepting it, but we're going to take it with us. The being's expression shifts to something that might be surprise. That is not possible. We cannot leave this structure. It is both our prison and our life support. Then we'll take the structure. For the first time in eons, I hear something like laughter in the architect's mental voice. You would steal a hollow world? How wonderfully audacious. Elena, Kim's voice cuts through the chamber. The Kronos Drift's engines are powering up, but Captain Torres says we need to leave now. Whatever's coming is starting to affect local space-time. I look one last time at the chamber full of awakening gods and make the choice that will either damn humanity or elevate it to cosmic significance. Signal the ship. Tell them to prepare tractor protocols. We're taking our new friends home. But even as I say it, I can feel something vast and implacable turning its attention toward our tiny corner of the galaxy. The constraint has awakened, and it's coming to restore the cosmic order we've just shattered. The real question is whether we can outrun a force of nature that treats faster-than-light travel as a minor inconvenience. Tractor protocols? Elena, this thing is the size of Jupiter. Captain Torres's voice crackles through the comm as our away team races back through corridors that are reshaping themselves around us. The structure is fully awakening now, its ancient systems coming online with power signatures that make our ship's fusion reactors look like birthday candles. I don't care if it's the size of the sun, I shout back, leaping over a section of floor that has suddenly become a flowing river of liquid light. We're not leaving these people to die. People. The word feels strange applied to beings who treat matter and energy as interchangeable concepts, but what else can I call them? The architects are conscious, intelligent, capable of suffering. The fact that they're made of crystallized starlight doesn't change that. Behind us, the chamber we just left is filling with fully awakened architects. Through the translucent walls, I can see them moving with impossible grace, their forms shifting between solid and energy states as they rediscover abilities dormant for eons. Some are attempting to repair damage to their prison sanctuary. Others are simply celebrating the sensation of thought without constraint. And all of them are generating enough exotic energy to power a small star. Elena, look at this, Dr. Chen pants, pointing his scanner at the walls around us. The structure's entire hull is reconfiguring. It's becoming a spaceship. He's right. The corridors we're running through are shifting from the organic curves of a habitat to the purposeful lines of a vessel designed for travel. Bulkheads are sealing, atmospheric processors are humming to life. Navigation arrays are extending from hidden recesses in the hull. The architects are preparing to run, I realize. Not run, comes a mental voice. The same being who showed me their memories. I turned to see it gliding behind us, its form now more energy than matter. Escape. We have been prisoners so long, we forgot we were once explorers. Can this structure survive interstellar travel, I ask? If properly motivated, yes, but the constraint will follow. It always follows. My comm explodes with overlapping voices from the Chronos drift, massive spatial distortion off the port bow, gravitational waves approaching critical levels. Captain, whatever's coming is big enough to have its own event horizon. We reach the docking bay as the entire structure shudders around us. Through the transparent hull sections, I can see space itself beginning to twist. Stars are shifting position, their light bending around something approaching from the galactic core. The constraint isn't just traveling through space, it's reshaping space as it moves. All hands aboard, I order, but as we reach the airlock, Tanaka grabs my arm. Eleanor, look at the power readings. The structure is drawing energy directly from quantum vacuum. If we try to move something this size at faster than light speeds, we'll tear a hole in space-time, I finish. I know. And that will give the constraint a direct path to Earth. The words hit me like ice water. In trying to save the architects, we might be leading their jailer directly to humanity's doorstep, but looking back at the beings who have suffered eons of imprisonment for the crime of reaching toward transcendence, I can't bring myself to abandon them. Then we don't go to Earth, I decide. We run dark, find someplace in deep space to figure this out. Torres's voice crackles through the comm. Elena, massive energy surge detected throughout the structure. It's preparing to move on its own. We reach the bridge of the Chronos drift to find chaos. Every display shows readings beyond comprehension. The structure we're docked with is drawing power from sources that shouldn't exist. Dark energy, zero-point fluctuations, the rotation of the galaxy itself. Undock us now, I order, but Peters shakes his head. Can't. The structure's docking clamps have fused with our hull. We're part of it now. Through the main viewer, the first tendrils of the constraint become visible. They stretch across light years, writhing appendages of pure cosmic order that consume everything they touch, not destroying matter, but reducing it to its most basic state. Planets become collections of hydrogen atoms, stars become simple fusion reactions, complex structures, like consciousness, simply cease to exist. Time to arrival? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know. At current approach, speed 90 minutes, Kim reports, her voice tight with controlled terror. Around us, the structure begins to move, not with the crude thrust of chemical rockets, but by manipulating space-time itself. We're not traveling faster than light, we're shortening the distance between here and there. The effect is nauseating, like being turned inside out through dimensions that don't quite exist. Where are we going? Torres demands. The architect's voice fills the bridge, speaking through every speaker simultaneously, away to the spaces between galaxies where the constraint cannot easily follow. But know this, your species has now been marked. By helping us, you have shown the same dangerous potential that led to our imprisonment. The main viewer shows our destination, the void between galactic superclusters where space is so empty that light takes billions of years to cross from one side to the other, a perfect hiding place, assuming we can survive the journey. But even as we flee toward ultimate darkness, I can see the constraint following. It moves through space like thought through a mind, inevitable and implacable, and somewhere in its cosmic intelligence, it has registered the existence of humanity. We've saved the architects from their prison, but in doing so, we've painted a target on our entire species. The question now isn't whether we can outrun a force of cosmic order. The question is whether humanity will survive becoming the galaxy's newest fugitives from the fundamental laws of reality. Elena, Kim says quietly, studying her displays. I'm detecting similar structures throughout this galaxy, hundreds of them, all beginning to activate. I stare at the readouts, understanding dawning like a cold sunrise. The architects weren't the only species the constraint imprisoned. There are others, all of them awakening simultaneously, all of them preparing to flee their crystalline prisons. We didn't just free the architects, we triggered a galaxy-wide jailbreak. And now something old and patient and utterly merciless is coming to restore order to the chaos we've unleashed. The void between galaxies tastes like eternity. We've been drifting here for 3 months now, our ship integrated into the architect structure as it floats in the ultimate dark. Around us, space is so empty that the nearest star is a faint pinprick 40 million light-years away. This is what loneliness looks like when measured on a cosmic scale. But we're not alone. The architects move through their crystalline halls like living poetry, teaching us things that human language was never designed to express. They've shown me how to fold space with thought, how to paint with gravity itself, how to hear the songs that dying stars sing in their final moments. Dr. Chen has learned to sculpt time like clay. Kim has discovered frequencies that exist in 11 dimensions simultaneously. Even Tanaka, practical engineer that she is, has begun designing machines that operate on principles that shouldn't exist. We are becoming something more than human. The question is whether that's evolution or corruption. Elena. The voice belongs to the architect I've come to think of as the Memory Keeper, the first one we encountered, whose consciousness spans the entire history of their civilization. You must see this. I follow the being through corridors that exist in more dimensions than my enhanced perception can fully grasp. The changes the architects have made to my neural structure allow me to see beyond the 3-dimensional prison that once confined my thoughts, but it comes at a cost. Sometimes I forget what it was like to be simply human. We arrive at what might charitably be called an observation deck, though it's more accurate to describe it as a window into the fundamental structure of reality itself. Through walls made of crystallized space-time, I can see everything. Every galaxy in the observable universe laid out like islands of light in an ocean of dark energy. And threading between them, moving with the patience of geological ages, are the tendrils of the constraint. It's beautiful, I whisper, and I mean it. The entity pursuing us isn't evil in any sense humans would understand. It's a force of cosmic order, as necessary to the universe's stability as gravity or entropy. Without it, reality itself would collapse into chaos as beings like the architects reshaped the fundamental constants of existence. Beautiful and terrible, the Memory Keeper agrees, as are we all, when seen from sufficient distance. Have you heard from the other structures, the ones that escaped their prisons? Most have fled to places like this, the voids between superclusters where space is thin and thoughts can hide. A few chose differently. What do you mean? The Memory Keeper's form shifts, becoming more translucent, more ethereal. Some chose to fight. They gathered their knowledge and their rage and made a stand in the spaces between stars. The constraint found them quickly. Are they gone? Reduced to their component atoms and scattered across the cosmic web. The constraint does not destroy out of malice, but out of necessity. Consciousness that can reshape reality is an infection that must be contained. I stare out at the vast emptiness surrounding us, thinking about the choice that brought us here. Were we right to help you escape? That is not for us to answer. You must live with the consequences of your choices as we have lived with ours. Through the quantum foam of empty space, I can see something that makes my enhanced perception recoil. A fleet of human ships, distant beyond measure, but somehow still visible to my transformed senses. Earth has sent a rescue mission, Admiral Chen's daughter among them, no doubt, along with the best humanity has to offer. They have no idea what they're flying toward. The constraint will detect them long before they reach us, I realize with growing horror. It will follow them home. Yes, your species' fate is now tied to ours. In saving us, you have doomed yourselves to the same choice we faced eons ago, transcendence or extinction. The weight of that truth settles over me like a burial shroud. In trying to preserve ancient knowledge, we've condemned our entire species to become fugitives from cosmic order. Every human who learns what the architects can teach becomes a threat to the fundamental stability of reality. Is there another way? Perhaps. The constraint maintains order, but it is not omniscient. If your species could learn our knowledge without awakening its attention, how? The memory keeper's form becomes almost completely transparent, as if the effort of contemplating hope is dissolving its very essence. We could encode our consciousness into the quantum structure of matter itself, not crude storage like this. It gestures to the crystalline walls around us, but integration at the subatomic level. Become part of the elements that form planets, stars, entire solar systems. You're talking about uploading yourselves into the building blocks of reality. More than that, we speak of becoming the dreams that hydrogen atoms dream as they fuse into helium, the songs that carbon sings as it chains into complex molecules. Your species could encounter our knowledge naturally, organically, as they explore the universe. No dramatic awakening, no cosmic rebellion, just learning. I stare out at the approaching human fleet, their ships like fireflies against the ultimate night. What would happen to you, to all of you? We would die as individuals, but we would live as inspiration. Every time a human scientist makes an intuitive leap, every time an artist creates something impossible, every time your species reaches just a little further toward transcendence, we would be there, not as teachers, but as whispers in the dark. The sacrifice they're describing is absolute. The architects would dissolve their individual consciousness into the quantum foam of reality itself, becoming a subtle influence on the development of intelligence throughout the universe. No longer prisoners, but no longer truly alive either. The constraint would accept this. The constraint seeks to prevent chaos. Subtle influence spread across eons is not chaos. It is guidance, evolution by inspiration rather than revolution. I close my eyes and feel the weight of speaking for my entire species. The human fleet will arrive in days. When they do, they'll demand answers, demand to know what we've learned and what it cost us. I could tell them about the power to reshape reality, the ability to create new universes. I could watch humanity ascend to godhood and spend eternity running from cosmic order, or I could tell them about the greatest act of love I've ever witnessed, an entire civilization choosing to die so that the rest of the universe might dream of something better. Do it, I whisper. The memory keeper's form becomes solid again, its starlight eyes reflecting something that might be relief. Thank you for understanding, for choosing wisdom over power. Around us, the structure begins to sing, not with sound, but with harmonics that exist in the spaces between atoms. One by one, the architects are dissolving themselves, their consciousness becoming part of the quantum substrate of reality itself. They spread through space like seeds on a cosmic wind, carrying the dreams of transcendence to worlds not yet born. I feel them pass through me as they disperse, thousands of ancient minds brushing against my thoughts like whispers of possibility. Each one leaves something behind, not knowledge exactly, but inspiration. The sense that reality is larger and more malleable than we ever imagined. When the human rescue fleet arrives 3 days later, they find the Kronos Drift floating alone in the void between galaxies. The massive structure is gone, dissolved into component atoms that drift away on solar winds. The only evidence of our discovery is my report and the subtle changes in how my crew perceives the universe around them. Admiral Chen's daughter looks at me across the briefing room table aboard the rescue ship, so the signal was just cosmic background radiation after all. I meet her eyes, thinking about the choice we made. Just background radiation, the galaxy was dead all along. But even as I speak the official lie, I can feel them out there. Whispers in the quantum foam, dreams encoded in the spin of electrons. The architects live on as inspiration, seeding the universe with the possibility of transcendence while avoiding the attention of cosmic order. Sometimes, late at night during the long journey home, I catch myself humming melodies that don't exist in any human musical tradition. Songs that hydrogen atoms sing as they dance in the void. Lullabies lullabies that stars whisper to planets as they form, and I know that somewhere, somewhen, a human child will grow up humming the same impossible tune. They'll become a scientist or an artist or an engineer, and they'll reach just a little further than anyone thought possible. They'll touch the edge of transcendence without ever knowing why. The architects are gone, but their dreams live on in the spaces between thoughts, in the pauses between heartbeats, in the quantum uncertainty that makes reality possible, and in the vast darkness between galaxies. The constraint moves on to other concerns, satisfied that order has been restored. It never notices the subtle changes spreading through the cosmos like ripples in a pond. Small alterations that will take eons to bloom into something magnificent. Humanity returned to Earth with nothing but stories of dead stars and empty space, but we brought back something else, something we don't even realize we carry. We brought back the seeds of godhood, planted so deep in the structure of reality itself that even cosmic order cannot find them. And somewhere in the quantum foam of empty space, ancient voices whisper secrets to the atoms that will one day form the brains of our children's children's children. The fossil galaxy is silent now, but its dreams are spreading.